So I have watched two close friends of mine completely lose their mind and their life due to mental illness. However, their outcomes are very different, and that is based on where they live. Okay, so I've never talked about this publicly. Um, okay, so was my friend, one was my friend Daniel. Oh my God, I'm gonna cry. One was my friend Daniel. He'd been living with bipolar disorder for many years. He was taking medication, um, but he had said that it had started making him gain weight. We didn't know that he stopped taking his medication. Okay. We all went up to a lake house. This was about 10 years ago. We all went up to a lake house, big group of friends and I, including Daniel, just for like a long weekend. And we watched him go insane. And it was so difficult. We watched him become more and more manic, more hostile, more aggressive. And by the end, he was basically rabid. And I mean, how many were there? I mean, I think it was six of us altogether. We watched him slowly go, just completely lose grip on reality over the course of this weekend. When we got back to New York after our vacation, we completely lost touch with him. He started attacking our friends, tried to actually destroy their business publicly, very publicly, posting a lot of things online. I only saw him one more time after that, but he came into my work. I was working at Bloomingdale's as a manager. I was running the sixth floor, and he came in and he was extremely thin. It was probably a month after all this happened. Looked like he hadn't eaten in that month. Extremely thin, and his eyes were popping out of his head. He was sober, but he was ranting about angels and devils, and he kept seeing them everywhere. He said, my employees, the people that reported to me, he said some of them were angels. He would say, she's the devil, like literally as a customer walked past, scaring people. And he started scaring me, and I started feeling unsafe. And I eventually had to walk away and call security to ensure that he would leave because he would not leave. And that was horrifying. Daniel ended up going to jail a number of times. One of them was for stealing packages off of his neighbor's like front doorstep because he lived in this beautiful apartment building on the west side. He started stealing his neighbor's mail, and they caught him on the security cameras. He also was caught dining and ditching a number of times at high-end restaurants in New York City. And this was because he went off his meds. However, what is really horrible is that we tried to get in touch with his family, and they said, this has happened, and they were almost numb to it. They were like, this has happened before. Every single time he goes to, oh my God, what's the name of it? I'm forgetting. It's like the famous one in New York. They're like, he goes there for a few days and then that's it. And they can't hold him any longer. And it's not long enough for any of his meds to actually kick in because like they'll give him like tranquilizers and stuff to calm him down, but it's not long enough to actually like take effect for the long term. All I know is I haven't spoken to Daniel since that incident. The last time I saw him in Bloomingdale's when he was stark raving mad. I know that he lost his amazing rent-controlled apartment on the west side. I know he has been in and out of jail, and I don't think any of our friends are still in touch with him. That was because he lived in New York. I'm gonna contrast that to another person that I didn't completely lose because of the laws in California. It was actually the younger sister of my best friend in high school. She was a year and a half younger, 2 years younger, incredibly beautiful. Like the kind of girl that everyone just follows around, because she's gorgeous, drop dead. Like people are obsessed with her. People would paint her. And she was always broody and broody and dark, but gorgeous. And she was an incredible artist. Well, she went to college in Chicago, Fine Arts Institute in Chicago. She was on some meds. She stopped taking them because I think, again, it had to do with weight or something. I don't know. But she started going crazy. She stopped going to class, but she didn't tell anybody. She didn't tell family, right? Didn't tell us. I'm not family, but just close family friends. And she eventually like started covering all of the windows with towels. She stuffed them under the doors. The only person that she spoke to was someone that ran like a candle, like Catholic candle Santeria store down the street from her in Chicago. And she ended up not eating. And the only reason that people found out what was happening is because the mom came to visit for like Thanksgiving or like Christmas break or something. And they flew over, and when they got there, she looked like she hadn't eaten in since she got there, pale, raggedy, scratches all over her body. You know, everything was covered, and obviously she hadn't been going outside or anything. So they were able to bring her back to California and get her help. Now, at the time, it wasn't rehab. There was no drugs involved, again, with either of these cases. And she ended up getting better for a little while, getting a job and staying in, where her family was from in San Diego, getting better. Over the years, she has gone off her meds. However, since this law came into place, the institutionalized law, what is really great is that she did not end up incarcerated and in, the prison loop, right? Where you're in and then out and in and out, because our prisons are just filled with people with untreated mental illnesses. I've lived in San Francisco. I have felt very unsafe in many situations, and New York too, but a lot more in San Francisco. And these people were not even necessarily drug addicts. Like everyone assumes like, oh, they're all crackheads. Like, no, a lot of them are not. A lot of them are just really need help. But again, there's no institutionalized hold to the point at which the medications would actually kick in. Once the medications kick in and there's actually treatment afterwards to ensure that they're taking their medication, then they're good. And that is now what I've seen, like we've seen with Laura. She's now in a facility. She's, doing work, and she's not able to live fully independently yet. Hopefully she will be someday, but she's not like Daniel, where it's not like she's lost everything, right? Her family has been able to keep tabs on her. She is safe. She's off the streets. She is not in jail. She is contributing to society. She's happy. She's doing art, and she's on her medication. Long term for Laura is really looking good, right? And so it's something we're all going to have to deal with for a very long time. But if they were not able to hold her longer than like the 48 hours or whatever it was, right? She would be lost in the system, just kind of like Daniel was. So many of the people in our prison system and on the streets just have untreated mental illness, and there need to be ways to get them help aside from just their threat to themselves, because they are a danger to themselves or other people, because sometimes they're not, but they just really need help. But there's no mechanism for the state to do that. We used to have it, all of them shut in the 70s. A lot of the same homeless people that are living on the streets of San Francisco are from the big sweep when they closed them all down in the early 80s because of budget cuts. A lot of the homeless people in San Francisco are now unable to function in society because they've kind of been abandoned, when really all they need is help, but they don't have family or the means or the ability to communicate their needs. Someone needs to step in and help them. I'm glad that California has this law, because Laura has a future now. I don't know if Daniel does.